In our To America series, we aim to bring you new perspectives. What comes to mind when you think of school? Sitting in a classroom, watching a teacher write on a board at the front of the room, maybe the bell between periods. For many Montana kids, school actually doesn't look like that at all. In tonight's To America story, we hear from two parents who chose something different, homeschool. MTN's Marian Davidson reports.
Some parents may have gotten a taste of homeschooling during the pandemic, but for thousands of Montana families, like the Enquists in the Boulder Valley, homeschooling is just everyday life.
Every day is a little different with 3 boys.
Lorena has been homeschooling for about 7 years. There are a lot of reasons she and her husband decided to homeschool, but the main one, class size.
My oldest was in a preschool for 2 years, a co-op preschool, and he did okay. But even with 8 kids in the room, sometimes was a lot.
In the Helena area, Chris Hauer homeschools 4 of her 7 kids too. She's been doing it for about 10 years now.
You start homeschooling when your child's born. You teach them to talk and to walk, and then if you're ambitious, the ABCs and how to count. And one day you're like, maybe I can teach them to add too.
With 3 of her kids in public school, Chris's homeschool schedule follows the public schools. Lorena describes her family as year-rounders.
We consider it all learning, whether we're at church, whether we're in Yellowstone. We were just on a road trip in Yellowstone. There's learning on vacation if you make use of it.
But homeschool isn't always adventures and exploring. It can be hard.
The hard part is knowing what to do and how to do it. Your kids aren't all the same. They're not the same as other kids.
If you've done language and history and math with your kids at home, by the end of the day, you're like, I don't got time to do an art project. I just don't have it in me.
That's where resources and homeschool groups come in. And here in Montana, and even just in the Helena area, there are a number of them.
Helena has a fantastic homeschool community.
Chris runs one of those homeschool groups in the Helena area, the Enrichment Co-op. About 120 kids are enrolled in the Friday program this year. Kids are broken into age groups for different parent-led classes throughout the day. Classes like art, PE, and performance.
The only requirement is that you show up and be a part of it.
After classes, everyone gets together for a picnic-style lunch.
My children are very comfortable speaking seriously with adults or kids twice their age or kids half their age.
Lorena says her kids aren't lacking social interaction either.
There's kids in town. Through Facebook, I've met some homeschool families. Through church, we have quite a few homeschool families at church.
While homeschooling can be challenging, at the end of the day, Lorena and Chris say it is rewarding.
I'm there when they're upset. If they miss something and it's upsetting, I'm there. I can hug them, I can kiss them. They don't get that in mainstream school.
It's amazing when a kid can just be who they want to be, how that changes everything.
Each family's experience and methods are different, but Lorena and Chris have made a decision that many Montana families have made to homeschool their kids. In Helena, Marian Davidson, MTN News.
So just how many kids in Montana homeschool? Well, according to the Montana Office of Public Instruction, nearly 10,000 kids were homeschooled in the state for the 2020-21 school year. That's a jump of more than 4,000 from the previous year, and it's 6.1% of the state's total student enrollment.